Alright, if you came to this video wondering what the serious issue could be, I want to just start out by saying this is an issue that's happened on other computers, but it could happen to your computer if you're using this software. Now, I don't want to sound derogatory or anything towards the software because it does provide an immense value, and what they're trying to achieve, if you just do some little background research on it, is pretty ambitious. But I have encountered this on multiple computers, and the software is Google Drive File Stream. So if you haven't heard of it, obviously you've probably heard of Google if you're watching this video. And they have a suite of services called, appropriately, the G Suite. And as part of the G Suite, depending on your membership level, you get an unlimited Google Drive. So this is very good for backing up data and transitioning data between computers. And if you've seen anything about some of the last videos that I've done, it's been about the Acer Predator Helios 300, the 2020 edition. And one of the things that you'll come to learn if you're trying to purchase a laptop in the $1,000 range is you're going to have to sacrifice one thing or another. Now, there's laptops in the $1,000 range that have 1 to 2 terabyte starting hard drives, but what they sacrifice to be able to stay in that price range is the integrated or the dedicated graphics card. So there's a rule of thumb when purchasing, any kind of computer equipment, is that you want to be able to get the best things, the things that you can't replace. You want to try to get the best, best at the time that you can, that your budget allows. And the things that you can upgrade, you can spare on those, because down the line you can upgrade when you need to. So one of the things this particular laptop gets is a 512 gigabyte SSD. And by modern standards, I mean, depending, 10 years ago, that would have been more than fine. But in 2020, that's a little low, considering, how much applications and just, video media takes. But what makes that possible, why I can make that sacrifice, is not only that this laptop has expandability. So that's one of the reasons. You can see here it has available slots for two SSDs and 1 hard disk drives. So now what I believe this to mean, I haven't opened the back yet. I want to do that when I actually have the equipment or something to put in, even if I have to close it because I have to send it back or whatever. Either way, I'm not expanding it right now. But what it says, and based on other review videos, you can search for other review videos about this laptop, you could almost think that it means 2 on top of the one that it has already in it, because it does have 1 in it. And let me just side note, there's one reviewer, I can't remember. If I remember, I'll put their link down below. But they were complaining how the sticker was crooked on this particular laptop. And I can confirm that whoever at least puts this sticker, it seems like they did a pretty decent job on the Intel and Nvidia stickers. Those seem to be alright. But their actual Predator Helios 300 sticker is crooked. I mean, you can see clearly from the line up top. So they need a better stickering system. I mean, this sticker seems straight, right? So they're just getting their brand, which is unfortunate, because you'd think that they'd want to get that sticker right. So either way, now you can see we're about halfway through our episode here, and the computer's still in a restart. And now this is a problem that you can find, and I've seen it. Now, I may be wrong about this diagnosis. I'm not a computer professional. I'm just a user like you, trying to diagnose a problem. So when using Google Drive file stream, one of the big things that it can be used for is video files, which take up a lot of space, especially if you're doing 4K, 1080p to 4K, which is what a lot of stuff is in today, can take up a lot of space. Games take up a lot of space. So between video and games, you can eat up 512 gigabytes really quick. But if you have a G Suite, and this video isn't sponsored by Google or G Suite or anyone, I'm a user of G Suite, and I can tell you that there's a bunch of cloud services out there, but G Suite is one I happen to have experience with, and their Google Drive file stream software. So this you get the unlimited Google Drive or whatever the limit is, and then you install file stream, and what that allows you to do is to browse your Google Drive files on your computer as if they were so files, in such a way, in fact, that you can do video editing on cloud files. And if you know anything about video editing and having to move footage, that's a pretty incredible feat. I mean, you need good internet. That's the one thing you need. You should at least have 100 megabit per second internet or higher, and if you can connect by Ethernet to be able to expedite whatever file transfer you have going on, that's going to reduce the bottlenecks. So when loading media, now I don't know who the culprit would be here. I seem to have very infrequent problems when loading the footage through Premiere Pro, and things seem to go smoothly. I just finished a render where I'll be doing a video about, where it was I guess they call it, what the kids call it is machinima, and I did it using the Rockstar editor in GTA 5, and you'll see those videos set to Premiere. And then I use this feature in After Effects that adds motion blur to any footage really, and using it on game exported. So here's two things that are going on. When you're playing a game, your computer's rendering in real time, and you're using the game camera, and you're doing something different. When you're doing the machinima, you're now taking whatever game action that you recorded, and not only are you deliberately placing the camera and setting the action in the flow that you want to do it, but then you're allowing your computer to post-render it and to give the best rendering that it can. So it can render everything that it can, and then having it exported at a solid standard frame rate. So if you while you were playing the game, the frame rate dropped or it was faster or whatever, which could make for a weird viewing experience. If you're viewing something like a movie, you can now export it and be able to lock those features in, which is pretty cool. So doing that and then adding the motion blur effect, I think that's where the next stage, I think that's where in this whole NVIDIA and the RTX 30 series, I would be interested in. I know for like competitive gaming, and it's not that I know, I've heard that for competitive gaming and things like that, like the esports, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry now, that motion blur can be bad. And I could see that if you're playing these games where you need like 200, 300, you may not need, it may just sound good, but people have been shown to do better, I guess, in faster frame rates, because you're doing reflex-based competition. But from a machinima point of view, none of that matters. It really matters the level of quality that you can get. And I can see building, I'm going to talk about, I guess, one of the ongoing projects that this channel will be creating the perfect video game. And it comprises pieces of being able to do machinima and building game engines that can render as much as possible, and then being able to export it. So we're going to stay tuned for the next episode where I'm going to fix this issue, but this kind of illustrates this issue with the Google Drive file stream.